Ponzi scheme to a very serious contender and trying to take Bitcoin's place, which is called Ethereum system, and the cryptocurrency itself is called Ether. So Bitcoin ownership is changed when an owner uses his cryptographic private key to transfer control to a new owner, and the transaction is mined. This is also an important concept. You know that until the 70s, to exchange secrets between two parties, you needed some kind of cryptographic code. And this code, until the 70s, was symmetrical, meaning when you coded a message with some key that we will call A, you need to decode it with A. You need the same key. In the 70s, there was a revolution in cryptography, whereby two different parties independently invented something called asymmetric cryptography. And asymmetric cryptography is public-private key cryptography, whereby you code a message with a key and you decode it with another one. So that allows for the following to happen. You can send your public key to anybody you like over whatever network there is. You're not afraid of having eavesdroppers or people capable of intercepting the message, because in order to decrypt the message and read it, they need your private key. This is the part you keep for yourself. If you want an image or a comparison, it would be similar to sending to somebody a box with a lock, an opened lock on it. So anybody could put a message in the box and lock it, but they can't open it. And nobody can intercept it because nobody has the key to the lock. So when you send the box that is with the open lock and the party B sends you a message in the box, you are the only one who has the private key to open it. That's an image, a comparison for asymmetric cryptography. And in Bitcoin, it is used to create a private and a public key that are the very information that is transacted over the Bitcoin network. Why is that? You have a peer-to-peer network where there are IT files existing that are called tokens. Okay? In themselves, they don't represent anything. They just represent IT files shared on a peer-to-peer network. But the access to these IT files is protected by a locked key that you only can open with your private key. Okay? And if you want to transfer Bitcoins to a third party, what needs to be done is either for you to give him your private key, but I don't think people trust this. I mean, would you trust somebody telling you, okay, I owe you $1 million, this is the key to my private safe, you can have it and take them. Nobody tells you they wouldn't have done copies of that key. So you cannot trust this. Because of that, what happens is that on the Bitcoin network, what is the way the transaction happens is that you unlock the file with your private key, and the person sends it to its own public key. So it tells you, open your safe please, take out the 1 million and put them in that safe and lock it. Because whenever I lock it, I cannot open it anymore. So then they would be sure to have their $1 million. Then they would be sure to have the only private key that opens this safe of their own. Okay? Similarly, on the Bitcoin network, the exchange of Bitcoins takes place between private and public keys. You have an address you would receive Bitcoins on, which is your public key, and you have an address by which you pay Bitcoins, which is your private key. You unlock the money or Bitcoins and it is transferred. Okay. First time I tried to buy Bitcoin, I was in Saudi, and I went on the web and went on many websites that offered to buy and sell Bitcoins. And it is a really complex operation because you have to provide a lot of know your customer information probably more than what your typical bank would ask for. So it's really a complex way of doing things. And after looking for a solution for many hours, what I did was to go on a website whereby you buy and sell locally Bitcoins. So I was curious to know whether in Saudi I would find that. And in fact, yes, I found that, and I met this 20-something young Saudi guy who told me that he had in his father farm underground dozens of servers working, mining Bitcoins, and he would enjoy selling these to people interested in acquiring them. And typically it is your generation who is interested in Bitcoin more so than probably mine or older people, because the central thing is to be free from existing financial system in your mind. I suspect the generation of my children would definitely work in Bitcoins and in financial technologies, fintechs, rather than banks. But that's a personal bet. Is Bitcoin money? We go back to Dr. Azam's question about money. Let's talk about it quickly, and then we make Q&A. So to be money, you have to have three characteristics, three functions, and a bunch of characteristics. The functions of money are reserve of value, means of exchange, and unit of account. So let's ask ourselves if Bitcoin is a reserve of value. For it to be Hello? Okay. For it to be a reserve of value, it definitely has to have value, obviously. And to have value, let's say the short road to have value is to be listed on a stock market. Bitcoin has value as it has a market price. What is its market price? You can see here, it is around 600 in my graph, which was done a couple of months ago, because today it's rather about 720, somewhere here, okay? So it has value, but what does that mean? What does that mean compared to the global financial system? First important thing, for an asset to have value, it has to have a price, okay, but it also has to be liquid, not to be volatile, etc. So if you look at the volatility, this is the graph I made calculating 30-day standard deviation of daily returns of Bitcoin, obviously with no interest, but the variation, the daily variation. And this volatility, as you can see, the trend went from about 8% in January 2011 to something like 2% today. So the progress here that is shown proves that Bitcoin is less and less volatile. It is still, compared to other currencies, very volatile. Other currencies are around probably 0.5%, 30 days the standard deviation average. It is at 2%, so 4 times the volatility of standard currency. But years ago, it was 16 times the standard volatility. So there is a significant improvement here, and there is a gain in value here. The jump in the value that you observe here and here, and if you think of it logarithmically, it is practically comparable in terms of importance. The first one is when our neighbor Cyprus had its difficulties in terms of financial and banking system, and it had to go to the European Union to find some funding. At the time, the Cypriots, they really frenetically tried to buy Bitcoin. So it provoked this up here. And here there is a jump, and then there is a crash, a sort of crash. It was immediately 2 decisions by Chinese authorities, one by the central bank and one by the government. One saying Bitcoin is a currency, recognizing Bitcoin as a currency, and the other one stating that Bitcoin is forbidden from trading in China. So I don't know if this is a sign of luck or it's okay. So this is the value and the volatility seem to show, to point to the fact that Bitcoin is more and more a reserve of value. Now, relatively to other currencies, maybe it's far from it, but it's really becoming a store of value. Is Bitcoin a means of exchange? Well, if you look at it, anecdotal number of 100,000 retailers accepting Bitcoin, 500 ATMs across the world that you would use to buy and sell Bitcoins. By itself, the answer would be, yes, it's a means of exchange.